Which black faction is the wildest in the California Department of Corrections? What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. So I believe it was last night. Yesterday or last night, I saw a comment. I'll put the comment right here. And this comment had to do with, as you see, the Muslims in the California Department of Corrections. And when I started thinking about it, it got me thinking about a whole different idea, right? And so let's get to it. When I think of the Muslims in the California Department of Corrections, I can honestly say that I don't remember a single time where there was an incident between blacks and Southerners and it all derived from an interaction with a Muslim. Not once. I remember coming down from Pelican Bay the second time I went to New Folsom, and there was a Muslim with us. Cool. He was super respectful dude. And I remember him getting into it when the Shia and the Sunni got into it on the yard. Tripped me out. And I interacted with Muslims now and then. There was a Muslim in my building. He was a couple cells down from me. I used to talk to him on a regular basis. But I can honestly say that I never, ever. Now, there's the riot in Pelican Bay. The guy that it started over was a Crip and a Muslim. But more than anything, he was a JCAT. He was not playing with a full deck. So I wouldn't put that on either one of those groups. That it was because of, he was a Crip or a Muslim. He wasn't all there. Now, it got me thinking of each black faction. And so I've done a video on the Usos. I've done a video on the Asians. That was recently the other day. And I say, you know what? Let me talk about my experiences with the black factions, right? And so we've got the Muslims out of the way. Now I want to talk about the non-affiliated blacks. That's another group that looking back, I don't remember a single incident that occurred over a non-affiliated black. Does that mean it's never happened? No. No, a lot of times, keeping it real, the Southerners don't know the difference unless they're in a leadership position to where they have to have dialogue with these other groups. And then you're going to find out, hey, who does he run with, and get at their people, right? So the the Muslims and non-affiliates, I don't remember anything ever happening because of them. The next group that I'd bring up would be the Kumies. I did a video on the Kumies recently, and a lot of people were like, what are the Kumies? Who are the Kumies? The Kumies are the 415. They're the blacks out of the Bay Area. And I kind of want to say they're probably, this is going to sound weird, they're probably the wildest. Their get down, and it's just because their whole style, they're hyphy with it. Their whole style is different. But as wild as they can be, they have structure. They have a chain of command that they adhere to. And I didn't really get to understand their get down until the second time I was in New Folsom, because the Kumies were, they were like right next to the sun, like where the whites should have been or the Paisas should have been. The Kumies were there. It was literally, I'm here, now I'm in the Kumie area, like that close. Never seen that before. But because we were so close in proximity to each other, I had a lot of interactions, a lot of dealings with the Kumies. And I never had a bad interaction with them. Now, has there been incidents because of, between the Southerners and the blacks because of the Kumies? Yes. And I told a story there where there almost was a big incident over the handball court. Luckily, cooler heads prevailed and everything went smooth. And No bloodshed occurred behind that. Now, the next group is the Bloods. And, man, let me tell you something. I remember when, back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, even if I'm going back to YA, right? We'd be on a dorm, and there would be like 15 Mexicans, 5, maybe 6 Bloods, 2 or 3 whites, and the rest were all Crips, right? And it wasn't until like after Tupac and Death Row Records got big, then you saw way, way, way more Bloods. I've done a couple videos talking about back in the days, man. The Bloods were not deep, but they were down. They would stand their ground. They were used to being outnumbered. They were more quiet. They were more observant. Like it was a trip, right? And I can say that in my interactions in the joint, the Bloods fall under two groups, right? There's a 3-letter group and a 2-letter group. And I've interacted with both of those groups because, if you have to discuss something about a certain group, again, you're going to get at whoever their mouthpiece is, right? And I can tell you, like, if I had to go and speak to the Kumies, I could go talk to one person. If I had to talk to the Bloods, usually it was one person. Now, if both of those groups were on the yard, I'm going to have to talk to both. But in both cases, it was always smooth communication, and it was a quick discussion. Now, let's get to the final big group, and that's the Crips. I can tell you that, again, I just finished telling you how it used to be. Man, Crips were always so damn deep. There's so many Crips. And I could tell you that I think the most clashes between Southerners and blacks in prison would be because of the Crips. And I have a theory why. Like I said, when I would have to have a discussion with the black factions, I can go to one person for the Kumies. I go to one person, maybe 2 for the Bloods. For the Muslims, I can go to one dude. For the Crips, I'd have to talk to 5 or 6 different people. Now, imagine, so a lot of the Crips, they're not going to let another Crip car tell their car what to do. It was a trick, right? And so imagine having to talk to 4, 5, 6 different dudes to try to get on the same page. And I don't know the hierarchy or like the tripping that they got with each other, but I go and I talk to one dude from one car in the Crips. Now, this other car is like, man, why is this essay getting at them first? Why ain't he getting at us first? Man, I'm just trying to, figure out what we can do about a situation. I don't know these dudes can't tell those dudes. I learned. Still to this day, can't figure it out, right? But I could say that for the most part, look, and this is something that I always want to stress. People are always talking about the racism and all the hate and all this stuff. If you look throughout the last 30 years at how many riots actually happen in the California Department of Corrections, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It's not 30. I'll tell you that. We didn't even have one a year. When we have them, it's big and it's ugly because over here, I know a lot of other states aren't shooting at you the way they do in California. But they will gun you down over here. And you got everybody out there with knives trying to kill each other. And then you got the cops shooting everything moving. And it's always a miracle that there's usually only one dude that dies. And it's usually because of the cops. I mean, I know in the Pelican Bay riot, one person, Sharky, was killed. There was another Southerner who died on the operating table like 3 or 4 times. They helicoptered out. He was from 18th Street. And there was a black dude that got shot in his chest. And he died. They say he died like 4 or 5 times on the operating table. And those would have been more casualties at the expense or because of the officers with their Mini 14 rifles shooting at men who unfortunately couldn't come to an agreement on something very, very petty. But in that world, it doesn't matter how petty it is, it needs to be handled. So that's my video for today. Shout out to everybody behind the walls doing time, man. I know it ain't easy. I know the CDC is trying to put a wrench in everybody's spokes, man. And you guys got to do what you got to do. So everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.